Hey, what's up, guys? Michael Villa here. I'm the creator and founder of Legendary Fatherhood Academy, and I am super, super excited to have one of my awesome clients here, Alex. Now, Alex, he's lost almost 40 pounds, but really, I don't want to tell the story. I want you to hear it straight from him. So, Alex, quickly introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
My name is Alex Shalal. Um, Began this fitness journey not even a year ago, and was introduced to Michael earlier this year. I had known him before. I'd seen him around the gym, and gave me some tips. And then when I realized it was time to really, be serious, and I had finally made a habit of coming to the gym. Meeting Michael really changed really everything that how I thought about it, how I thought about fitness, how I thought about weight loss. And my story kind of really begins in the sense of just always growing up. We were always around food, and we were always taught to always finish everything, and to eat like, to finish our plate and to go for seconds. And like my mother used to tell us that we have to drink pop with every meal, because they thought that like the fizziness of the pop helps break food down in your stomach. um and so flash forward, I never gained any weight. I was skinny my whole life. And then flash forward to, when I turned about 30, um started to put on weight, but nothing big, nothing noticeable. And then COVID hit, and my wife and I got pregnant with our first kid. And anybody that has a kid knows, your wife has cravings, and a lot of times it's Taco Bell and McDonald's and donuts and chicken, and everything there in between. And of course, I don't cook, so I'm eating that with her too. And it was COVID time, so we were really, we were just really doing nothing but except eating, and and just sitting around, which was normal because I drive a lot. My wife drives a lot, and we're always sitting down at our desks, sitting down at our computers. And then 3 months after we had my first son, we got pregnant again. So we had two kids in 2 years, and the cycle repeated itself. And before I knew it, I mean, I would always feel tired. I would never have any energy. I would have to take naps halfway through the day. I would go to stores, and like nothing would fit me. No jeans would fit me. I eventually had to like go to like big and tall stores to buy clothes, which was, I never thought, growing up being as skinny as I was, I never thought I'd see that day. And come to find out that like it was kind of like a rite of passage in my family. Like everybody in my family was skinny when they were young, but when they got big, they never kicked those habits of, they never exercised. They always sat, and they just ate lots and lots of food, especially sugars and breads and rice and noodles and pasta. And so before I knew it, and like everybody says, when you hit 250, you're like, okay, I can't hit 275. And then when you hit 275, you're like, okay, I'll be fine as long as I don't hit 300. And then when you hit 300 and you realize how much you weigh, and then you try to change and you can't, because your whole mind has been kind of conditioned to this kind of way of life. And I didn't have the energy to play with my kids got a little bit older, like wanting to play with their dad, and I didn't have the energy to play with them. They would bounce on my stomach like I was like my stomach was like some kind of trampoline. And and people started worrying about me. People would see pictures of me. I would be so embarrassed to take pictures. I never took pictures. People would see pictures of me and say that can't be Alex. He's so big. And my wife started worrying about me, my parents, my in-laws, and I wasn't happy with myself, and I wasn't there was a lot of things that were happening that were just, you know, I felt really bad about. And there was a guy in my work, a younger guy named Michael as well, who I told him that I don't even have the energy to play with my kids. And so he kind of forced me, like, come to my gym. And I had gone to like other kinds of gyms before, but didn't feel comfortable, and it wasn't really my scene, and tried all types of diets, keto, all that stuff, when all you really, all it really is just, work and working out and controlling your diet. And so I joined the gym with my friend Michael in July of 2024, and started going to the gym every day, and started, getting into the habit. But of course, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just wandering machine to machine. Oh, that looks kind of cool, and stayed away from the machines that I didn't know how to use them, or was embarrassed that if I used them, I'd look foolish. So I just kind of stuck to the same routine the whole time. And I lost a little weight, not a lot. Um, After 6 months, like, I wasn't seeing result for many months, but I just kept going with it. And I'd always see you at the gym, and and we'd talk a little bit, and you'd be like, what's your plans? And then that's when you shared with me your story about your father, and it hit, right. It hit, because I don't ever want to put my kids through that. I don't ever want to be at you know a point that they have to fend for themselves because of what I did to myself. And like, I wanted to make sure that I had been going to the gym for 6 months, because that was my thing, that if I went to the gym every day for 6 months, whether or not I was getting anything out of it, and I got very little out of it, I was like, at the end of the year, at the end of December 24, I was like, I gotta take this seriously. I really want to lose this weight. I really want to change my life. And that's when we got together with the training sessions. And I remember really vividly the very first week, like, with me and you together, with, steady on the diet, which was the toughest part for me. The working out wasn't the tough part, even though you do make it tough for me. But the working out wasn't the tough part. It was the food. And I had to really, like, fight with myself about, listen, just stick. You gave me like
portions.
the portions, the cheap portions. This much of protein, 2 servings, this much of rice. Sorry, this much of rice, this much of salad. And it was I always said, give it to me like I was an idiot, because I don't know anything about this. And then we did it for like a week, and I lost 5 pounds, and I'm like, this can't be real. Is this real? And you caution me. You're like, listen, it could be water weight, could be money, but yes, it is real that you could be losing weight. We have to gain muscle, and coaching me on how to be, how, like, food is also an addiction. You don't love food, you're addicted to food. And there's nothing that's saying you can't eat. You just gotta remember, you can't eat bad 3 times in a row. Get into the habit. Salads, switch it up. Chicken, this much protein, you can have carbs. This whole lie, you debunked all the myths for me, that you don't have to not eat rice, or not eat something. It's okay, but just the second meal, when you can, when I look back and I think about it, I'm like, yeah, every single meal was burgers, then it was pizza, and then it was, yeah, obviously, if you're going to eat like trash every single meal of every single day, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
sorry to interrupt here. Paint that picture for me a little bit. Like, so the highest you got was 318.
318.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then now, so far, we're down 39 pounds. Hopefully hit the big 40 mark within the next few days.
Yeah. If not, yeah.
paint that picture a little bit, like that life you talked about, the diet. What was it like on a daily basis versus what's it been now?
So one of the one of my caveats of my life was I never brought a lunch to work or school or anything. I always ate out every meal. Um, and I definitely ever since I've been living on my own, and the same thing kind of with my wife. My wife would cook here and there, but we'd cook lasagna or we'd cook tacos or we'd make, you know, not the healthiest of things, very little vegetables. Now I try to incorporate that into my life about eating more vegetables, eating snacks, eating defensively, whereas before I would just eat whatever I felt like eating. Okay, today I feel like eating tacos, I'm going to eat tacos. And then if 2 hours from now I'm hungry again, I'm going to eat pizza. And if I'm hungry from them 2 hours from now, you know what? I'm going to order Popeyes. Um, Now we're more structured. You know, when you structure it, just it's a little bit easier because you understand that what your body needs. You need protein. You do need a little bit of carbs, not a lot. And I try to keep a nice balance of a lot of fruits, a lot of salads, a lot of chickens, a lot of
Love that.
steaks, and then you kind of train your mind, where it's like, okay, maybe I could have one meal, and I don't have to have hamburgers and fries in this. Maybe just have just a small burger, and then the rest of the day you eat your salads. You have a little bit of almonds. You drink your protein powder so that you don't feel hungry every day. And so how that happened is the reason why when I was working out on my own before I met you, before I went on this diet, I only lost like whatever it was, 16 pounds or whatever it was in 6 months. And then I lose, sorry, 18 pounds. And then I lose almost 22 pounds in 3 months working out with you. Like I lost the same amount in half the time with guidance, right? And I started noticing things started to change. I started noticing people started telling me, "Hey, you're looking good." I started people saying, "Listen, I could see it in your face. I could see it in your stomach. I could, and it kept me encouraging me to go more." And then you said about the jeans. That was probably my happiest day. That was probably the day where
Explain that for people. Like
sure,
the genes, but also like what some of the little things that like normal people might not seem like it's a big deal, but like it was such a big win for you.
I have so many shirts that I'm wearing now that I couldn't wear 6, 7 months ago because they were so big on me. I have so many dress shirts that the buttons couldn't even, I could put them on, but they'd be ready to pop out and get into somebody's eye if I wore them. But the biggest one was the pants. So when you're a big guy and you're very big in your midsection, what ends up starting happening is your thighs, especially with jeans, your thighs rub together. And you don't notice it at all, except until one day when you take off your jeans and you look and there are holes right there from all the friction that's been going on. The jean kind of rubs itself and rips. And at first I thought it was because it was cheap jeans. Then I thought, well, no, these are expensive jeans. No, it has nothing to do with the make or model of the jean. That's from your thighs constantly rubbing all day long when you're moving, and a hole comes. There's no size that could fit that. You could be size 42 jeans. That's not going to help that. And that was something that I obviously, as soon as what started happening then is I'd get new jeans right away as soon as I started seeing the thinning of the fabric, because I got used to it and I was like, okay, I gotta get rid of these jeans because they're whole. Then when we started working out, I don't know around where it was, maybe halfway mark, maybe a month or 2 months in with working out with you, I started because I got used to taking off my jeans and checking. They're not thinning anymore. Actually, you don't notice anything. Then I started kind of catching myself when I walk. Well, oh, they're not rubbing. They're not rubbing together anymore. And I had never done a squat in my life. you saw when we first started just to do the warm up. It was so tough for me. But that was when I realized that was like, and I just realized then it kind of something clicked in me that I was like, oh man, this is possible. This is possible that I could actually like really start getting down. Another thing that happened, another thing I haven't told you that happens when you're a big guy is the front of your jeans where the zipper and the button is, it starts to like fold out like this because your stomach is like having so much, like if I show you right here, I don't know if you can see it, but like it doesn't fold out anymore.
No
It
way.
folds out, right? So that when you take off
That's huge.
the jean like folds out. Or I'd have a belt on, a belt buckle. My stomach would be so big that my belt buckle would be digging into my stomach. So I'd have to lean like this so that the belt buckle doesn't dig into. That's not happening anymore. I could lean right in here and I don't feel anything. Um, these are the kind of things that I'm seeing. I can button my shirts, no issue. Um, and it's really something like, it's something that's so motivating, and it's something that it's so like you get so thankful. And of course, listen, I haven't been perfect, that, like I slip. It's not linear. There's ups and downs because it's hard to break 10, 15 years of habits and undoing. But these little moments that I get, these little wins, um they're like motivators. They're like things that like rejuice me, re-energize me, and I'm ready to get back at it again. Listen, there's always been a lot of fear. There's always been a lot of hesitance, obviously because the money is expensive. I saw the other day you posted, hey, somebody has no problem, or maybe it was today or something. Somebody has no problem spending $70,000 on a car, but has, an issue with paying for a trainer. And my wife, God bless her, man, she's been amazing. She's the one that said, "Look, I just want you to be healthy, man. I want you to be here. I don't want you to die of a heart attack like my uncle did, you know, from how they did himself, and leave behind my kids with no father. Like the thought of that is scary on its own, but it doesn't really motivate you to do anything until you start doing it and you start seeing the results and you start feeling better and like you have more energy. And you know one of the things that also kind of turned me is like when you said you have a trainer, and I'm like, why would you need a trainer? Like, you're a trainer, why would you need a and then he said, for accountability, because it's so true, because there are so many times I don't want to get up. There are so many times I just want to give in and just, you walk into a place and you smell a pizza, or you smell like the smell hits you and it's like, oh, I just want to indulge, and you don't. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I don't. There's some battles are won and some battles are lost, but these tools that you gave me, the don't eat bad 3 times in a row. As soon as I eat something, I'm just like, you know what, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Let's eat salad, and it still happens. That you can trip a little bit, but you can still keep walking. And that's been amazing. um you know like when we were doing the planks one time, and I'm like, I can't do this, like a minute's too goddamn long. And then you're like, okay, down. And then I get down, I'm like, man, how long was that? You're like, that was a minute. I'm like, really? Oh wow, I didn't think I could do that. Never did a squat in my life.
Now you're
So
doing plates on each
now we're
side.
doing plates on each side. Like, I'm and look, everybody's telling me, everybody's telling me about, you look great. And I'm in a couple of days, I'm going back to my hometown. My parents haven't seen me since I've been with you. Um because the last time they saw me was in Christmas, when just before we started training. Because I think I
Yeah,
actually have the list with me everywhere I go. Hang on.
yeah.
Oh, here it is. Sorry, it was right here. It was right here the whole time. Thought I left it in. Sometimes, like I pull this out when it's time to. Let
Yeah,
me
the
sh-
progress of the in body.
yeah,
Yeah,
I carry it with me in my pocket everywhere, so that sometimes when I'm about to slip, I'm like, come
it's
on,
a
man.
reminder.
Do you want to let all this progress go so you could have 2 seconds of happiness with a cheeseburger? Like, let's and so that's why I keep it with me, and I'm excited to go see my family. Because they, like I said, they haven't seen me since we started working. It says here, me and you started, I think,
Like January.
January 17th.
Yeah,
Wow, we're almost
exactly.
4 months to the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4 months to the
So
day.
awesome. So tell me, how these changes you made, how has that impacted your wife, your kids, your family, etc., your work? It seems like, not to say anything, but although statistically it does help your finances when you lose weight, the fitter that you are. But even flourishing in that direction, like it seems like every aspect of your life has continued to grow just simply by losing the weight.
I tell you, it's weird. You're 100% right that I'm just, I've been a beast at work these last 4 months. And I just told you yesterday, I just closed a huge, huge deal in record time. And, the other day when you were there and my boss was there and some guy came and he's like, this guy must be your closer. And he's like, he's not only my closer, he's my opener. He's like, this is the star. And I'm happy for him. But with my family, it's something different, man. My kids saw me eating salad the other day and they're like, Daddy, I want some. I want some. They never eat salad, but they're gonna learn whatever I do, like whatever they see me do, they're gonna do. And if that's not a motivation enough to like, God, I don't want them to like eat hamburgers and tacos and stuff all the time to the point where they'll be big and they'll go through the same thing that I go through. The other thing at work that happened that was great is the person who sits next to me um, in my other office. Uh, there's a guy. His name is Benson. He sits next to me. He's also kind of a fitness guy, and he turns to me and he goes, "Buddy, since you've been working out, I don't hear you breathing." Because apparently, and I didn't know this, nobody would tell me because they were I apparently would like just sitting down, I'd be breathing really hard,
No
like
way.
really loud and really hard. And he's like, it's gone. Like it's gone. I don't hear you breathing anymore. Like you're not struggling to breathe. You're not looking like you died when you walked up the steps to get to your set. Cause that's how it would be sometimes. Like sometimes I'd be like, right after I get out, right after I get off the steps. Now I'm running up the steps. And yeah, it's the impact on my work has been for sure. You could tell, I'm clearer and I got more energy. But at home, the 4 or 5 months ago, I couldn't even pick up my kids. Like my wife would be like, can you take them out of the shower? And it's like, only somebody who's got two boys. Let's picture my two boys right there. Only somebody who's got two kids that would know this, that when you pick one up, the other one cries, like as if you don't love them. So I always wanted to try to pick them up at the same time, or else I'm hurting one of them. I'm hurting one of them by taking one of them first.
Mhm.
And that used to always get me so bad because like I don't want you to cry because you think I'm taking one of you first. Now I pick them up with both hands. That's the shoulder workout that we were doing. I pick them up with both hands with no problem. Sometimes I like play with them and I'll like swing them around. And my wife is so proud of me. She's just like, man, she's like, you really are keeping up with it. And like, if going this rate, and one thing that going this rate, like will definitely hit my goal of, in my mind, my goal was just, look, I just want to go into a store and be a normal person and not have to like buy triple XL or double XL, or I want to just go in there and buy regular clothes and not have to feel horrible when they're like, sorry, we don't carry anything in that size. And I, walk out of there and, depressed. And I wanted, like, anything, any a size, anything in the threes, or anything without an X in it. Um, and I could feel like I'm on my way there. And my wife is so proud of me, and she's so supportive that, you know, that she's like, listen, this is the best investment we made, regardless of whatever investment we made, because this is what's going to help you be around for your kids. And like, when you put it that way, who cares about the money, right? If you can go, if you're 5 years from now, with tubes in your mouth, and you're like, man, I wish I could go back 5 years ago and pay whatever it was, pay those few $100s a session to not be here, right? Or 5 years from now, I'm at the weight that I want. I'm not, and I'm sitting playing with my kids, and I look back and I say to myself, that's all it was. And you won't even reckon money comes and goes, and I had to really dig deep for that, right? Because I'm very cheap and I've got very strict financial goals. But it's like, you invest in yourself and things come. I just told you, I just closed a huge deal. Like, it's like, now I don't even have to think twice about re-upping my things, because it's an investment in myself, and it's an investment in my family. So like, how can I look at it? How can I look at it as expensive, if that's what it's for? Um, and my wife really was like really supportive. She had to, like, she has to take the lion's share in the morning with the kids, whereas before we used to switch. Now she's taking the lion's share just to do that for me. That's a big sacrifice, to be the one to get them dressed. Anybody with kids knows, in the mornings are the toughest. Mornings are the toughest, And so she took that for me, so I could focus on my health, man. So, definitely owe her a debt of gratitude. Definitely owe my buddy Michael a debt of gratitude. Definitely owe you a debt of gratitude, because I can see the goal now. I could see getting down the weight. But one thing you said, which is telling me why this is so important, is there's a goal. There's more after you hit your weight. It's not just you hit your weight and that's it and we're done. There's also, how's the new life after? And I'm looking forward to that. I want to know what's behind that door, because I don't know that door yet, right? I still have, at least now I see clearly the goal. I see how it works. Be consistent with eating, be consistent with exercise, be consistent with sleep, right?
Mhm.
I haven't been consistent with sleep lately. So I'm, wanting to make sure that's one part that I work on now. But, being as consistent as I can with going to the gym, being as consistent as I can with eating. Now it's sleep as well. And, that's really, like, I'm looking forward to going behind that door. It's not the end, right? It's just the journey. The journey is what is more important than the end goal. And that's what you taught me,
Absolutely.
man. That's what you taught me. Like I said, why would you need a trainer? Yeah, because to be held accountable. Because if you're in the gym by yourself, you may not put the maximum weight. You may not try the exercise. You may not do the exercise that you don't want to do. And when you said that to me, that was just, I was like, damn, that was another beautiful, beautiful thing that you said that really, really resonated.
Wow. I really appreciate you sharing those and just being vulnerable too, just because I know all that's hard, like to kind of rethink or to reflect on how life like was before. The difficulties you talked about, the lack of confidence, right? Not feeling guilty and ashamed.
Never took off
Eh,
my shirt, never took pictures.
mhm.
Yeah. Embarrassment. Even now, when my friend Michael sent me the picture of that first day at the gym, I'm so embarrassed. Look at that picture. Like, I can't believe that I let myself get that far. Like, and I really want to change that. I want to reverse that whole thing if I can, and never go back there.
Yeah. Well,
That's, that's
in
why I
like
keep this on me. That's why I keep the picture with me.
I appreciate that. No, those are great motivators. And that's something that we've talked about where uh, really, you've shared it as well, and I think you've summarized it well, is that at the end of the day, this journey isn't only for you.
Yeah,
It's for your kids, it's for your family. It's everything that you do as a dad extends into them.
everything.
And 100%. And that's why like this, I love how you shared like this is just the beginning, and that it you can start seeing how life was like before. Because now all these things that was hard on a daily basis, whether it was constantly pulling on your foot so that it could get up, so that you could tie your shoe
Oh
or
yeah,
put your
yeah.
sock on, right? And you talked about the beard and how now you don't have to trim it because then now it doesn't look like a double chin anymore,
Right,
right?
right, right.
These
These are
small things
all
that you don't,
Yeah,
or
they're
go
all
ahead.
small wins. They're all small wins. You said it perfectly, and they all start happening slowly but surely. Like I said, the beard,
Mhm.
hey, I could go a lot higher because fat people have this thing to hide it. To hide my thing, you let it go down more and more. Yeah, that's definitely the foot. Putting my having to pull my foot up to like
Yeah.
I could even sit with my legs now down without any problem. Whereas before I'd have to actually like lift it, and that's a lot with the training that we do because I never trained legs the whole time I was at that gym the whole 6 months. That's how I met you because the only machine I would ever do is that leg press
This is
machine.
like press. Yeah.
That was it. I never did squats. I never did the balance. I never did any of these, and that's probably why I wasn't really. That's why clearly I wasn't getting as far as I wanted, and I obviously didn't change my diet either. So like I think without somebody there to and somebody to speak this to say, hey, Michael, you checked up on me. What did you eat today? Remember when I went to breakfast?
Mhm.
I was looking forward to having those that French toast. Like this place was known for the French toast, and you took the menu and you're like, no, 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 all you could have is this. And the funny part is, the person that I went to have that breakfast with ordered the French toast without me telling him the story. He ordered the French toast. Then I ordered. He's like, "That's all you wanted? An omelet with a salad in the morning?" And I'm like, and then I told him the story, and he felt so guilty that he ordered the French toast. And it's like, I'm so sorry, but it's so delicious. Like everybody orders the French toast. I'll be at restaurants where people are ordering hamburgers all around me, and let me get the chicken Caesar salad, please. And everybody looks at me because I was that guy. I was that guy that you know would make a mockery of a of a menu. Let me get this, and let me get this, and let me get this with this on the side, please. And I'm just not like that anymore. I'm just not like that. I try to eat defensively. Try just to eat just enough to. That was another thing that you taught me, just to eat. As soon as I start feeling full, put it away. Because, like I said, in my family, in my culture, you eat until there's nothing left, regardless of how you feel, regardless if you feel full or not. You finish it, and that's just wrong. And I don't want to teach my kids that either. I want them to know, food can be a drug too. Food can be a nourishment, a medicine, but it could also be a drug. And I think that part of the coaching that's helped me the most is kind of counseling me through the addiction of food, um, because I never really realized how important that was. I know the physical aspect is important. I know you training my body, training me how, when I'm sore, when I'm going too hard, um, or when I'm not doing something right. These are all important, but the facts about being healthy and eating right, those are definitely the gold. That's the secret sauce for sure.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And
Yeah.
and I continue to share this with you because you really should be very proud of yourself. There are so
Where to
many.
go? We got more. We
Pardon?
got we got fun.
Oh, we've got let what's your I love this quote that you gave me from your dad.
Yeah.
It's that effort deserves praise, but results deserves
The
rewards.
rewards.
And that's why, although you might not like to hear it, we're not at that goal yet.
Yeah.
You've come such a long way, losing 40 pounds, right? But getting to that goal, there's still more to do. And that's really where we could celebrate after you've hit that goal.
Yeah.
And what Kobe says all the time in his what's that called? The conference. He's like, job's not done yet. Job's not
Job's
done
not
yet.
done yet. Job's not done yet.
Exactly.
That was a big
Exactly.
quote from my dad. Yeah, listen, I praise you for your effort, but effort deserves praise. Results deserve the rewards, and it's coming in every day, not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of times now I'm kind of when I go there, you said it best. It's game time, right? When you come here, it's game time. So I don't want to complain. I just want to do the best that I can, get in there, do the best I can. It's hard. Uh, you know, just our last session when you were like, let's do this machine. And I'm like, I've watched hundreds of people use that machine. And I've been so scared of it because I never wanted to look foolish. I always had this fear that I would look foolish doing it. And I think that was like, just come, I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry. I don't know what you set it at or anything. Like, just do this. And then just like we're bar stars, we're like this. And felt so good to like try it. I'd be happy if you don't do it again, but like it felt so good to finally overcome that
Absolutely.
fear of not looking stupid, of feeling like I was too big for that machine, because that's slowly withering away from me. The fear of of I mean, I think that's what a lot of people have, the fear of like being around people that are so fit and you're not, and you feel like you don't belong. Um, but man, you definitely melted that away, So,
Thank you.
there's people coming up to me like, "Hey, what's that guy like?" Because like we could see, they're literally coming up to me and they're like, we see you, we see the changes in you, we see how like it's working. And
Yeah.
what's he like? And what's what? And of course, obviously, what am I going to do? I'm going to say he sucks. No, I sing your praises, right? Like results are there. There you go.
Yeah. So
Um,
with that, with that, what would you share to somebody who's on the fence about coaching or the program, and even though they've seen all these results, but they may have these doubts? What would you say to that person?
I think you said it best the other day. Like you can spend 10, $20,000 on vacation. You could spend $70,000 on a car, but you won't spend a couple thousand or whatever it is. Whatever when the grand scheme of things, right? You're not going to spend that on yourself for your family. Like you can't put together a few $100s for a session for yourself to put yourself on the right track to learn why you are why you how you got to this place and how to get you out of it. You don't have the you can't you know you can lie to other people, but you can't lie to yourself, right? And when you say that, when you put it that way, when you say, yeah, I'm buying a car, or yeah, I'm going on vacation, or yeah, I just bought whatever you're gonna buy. How can you really lie to yourself and tell yourself that's worth more than my health and being around for my kids? There's nothing. If 5 years from now I didn't change my life and I'm sitting somewhere on a bed with a tube in my nose, do I really care that I was driving a BMW? Do I really care that my jacket was whatever? Do I care that, I would pay anything to not be there? And that's what I would say. I would say exactly that, you know, tell me you don't, tell me your worries, tell me you're scared, tell me you don't need somebody to coach you. Tell me all that stuff. But don't tell me, you don't have the don't tell me you don't have the ability to do this. Don't tell me you don't have the money to invest in yourself and in your family. Because you know I we won't say his name, but we know who I'm talking about. The rich, one of the very wealthiest person I know, says to me, health is wealth, not money. Health is wealth. And so if health is wealth, and he looks great. He looks amazing, right? He's almost double my age, looks
Hmm.
younger than me, and he knows for sure that if health is wealth, then what does it matter if you have all the money if you don't have health and you don't, you can't play. What's the point of having a swimming pool if you can't swim in it with your kids? What's the point of having a house or a car if you have to be driven in it because you can't fit beside, behind it, which by the way happened to me too. Like I never shared that with you, but that's where things started to get weird too. Like people would sit in my car, they'd be like, wow, Alex, like, geez, can you sit further back enough? Like, and of course I'd play it off as, I'm trying to be gangster, I'm trying to be cool when I'm driving my car. But the reality is I had to push it that back because my stomach, like I couldn't be that close to the steering wheel. And so, these kind of embarrassing things, these kind of lies and stuff that you keep telling yourself until it hits you. You have to make excuses and you have to make things up. And, somebody asking me why you always wear sweaters. Why aren't you, wearing these? And yeah, because I don't have any shirts that fit me. Yeah, I'm always, wearing jeans because I can't wear dress pants because they'll rub together and the fabric will be gone in a week, and you know, taking the elevator one floor, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to walk upstairs.
Hmm.
Um, man, when you think about all these things, it really kind of hits home to like, what are you going to tell somebody? Well, I would tell somebody, man, can you look at yourself in the mirror and can you ask yourself why you're self-conscious and why you're intimidated and why you're scared of people at the gym because of what you've done to yourself, and and you just need some help. If you get some help and somebody to set you on the right path, and then you start really putting in the work. And I really do. You know what I do. You know that I'm trying. You know that I'm coming in there and I'm trying to do the absolute best that I can. And the results start coming, and then you'll feel so thankful that you did it. Because all you got to do is start. All you got to do is start. Is don't be scared. And like I was, and I remember how hesitant I was in the beginning. Like, listen, man, I can't really afford it. I got this. I got these responsibilities and these responsibilities. And then not a day goes by that I don't think it was the best thing that I have ever invested in. And I've invested in a lot of companies. I've invested in a lot of stocks and a lot of real estate. And you know, this was the best return ROI return on my investment that I've probably made because even the look of my in-laws the other day when they saw me and they were like, "Are you on Ozempic?" No, no, no. I'm
No,
just
we don't do Ozempic here.
we don't do Ozempic here. I just work out and I try to do my best to eat good. I'm just trying to be here for my kids and be here for my family. And I just want to be a regular person, not feel like embarrassed or you know people describing you as the big guy. Like it's. I just want to be healthy. I just want to be healthy and be here for my kids.